It has been moved and seconded that we adopt the agenda. Those in favor, please say aye. And those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. Therefore, the agenda stands adopted. We continue. It could be recalled we are on the consideration, and then we stop at page 82 of the management letter with the item adding restarted financial statement. Now we move on to the next item. That is the disclosure of current and non-current assets and creditors rather. The findings. The auditor noted that the Council's financial reporting framework and accounting policies as per Financial and Accounting Manual for Local Government Authority did not require them to recognize fixed assets, trade and receivables, and payables in their balance sheet. As a result, the Council did not recognize nor disclose their fixed assets, trade and receivables, and payables. The auditor recommended that the management through the finance director should disclose all fixed assets, including land and building, uncollected monies such as rates and tax licenses, fees, etc. And the management responded. Management? Yes.
Morning. As for the findings, the council is required to operate on a cash basis according to the accounting policy, which did not recognize fixed assets, trade receivables, and payable. However, the receivables from the rates and the fixed asset register were all made available to the audit team as requested during the audit exercise. The trades payable suppliers are available with the procurement for inspections. And we were expecting a follow-up after submitting the response, but there were no follow-up until we received the final reports of the final management letter.
At what stage were they available? Was it before or after the exercise?
Well, they were not requested during the audit exercise. If it is so, there is no evidence of tracking information requested. But we received it on the draft management letter, which we responded adequately that the information are available for follow-up, but there was no follow-up.
Who should do the follow-up?
The audit.
The audit should do the follow-up?
Yes.
And there was no follow-up?
There's no follow-up.
Audit?
According to the report, there was no auditors for the comment after their response.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that's where
you stop.
Yeah, where we disagree, and there is a reason for auditors for the comment, but where we don't put any auditors for the comment, okay. That means maybe it has been set up.
Yes, okay.
Members, the floor is open. No further comment. Yes. That's a general outcry. Well, sorry, I think they are communicated to. Maybe they will reduce. We proceed. The next one is non-maintenance of donation account. The council did not recognize donation received in its revenue and expenditure statement for the years 2020-2021. These were treated as non-council funds, using control accounts to monitor movement of transactions since they were not part of their normal revenue lines. It was revealed that most of the donations received were recorded in deposit to be paid back account, which was form of a control account and will always be closed after netting of the total donations received and expenditures made from those donations. Details are shown below. One Balaji Enterprise a tune of the first one is this deficit paid by the council is 147,999,000.30 rather, and then the next one is Balaji Enterprise 50,000, Futa Enterprise 100,000, Lance Financial 100,000, Alaji Alimbai 50,000, Ali Mohammed Kamara 500, Dalasi Appeal Charity 5,000, and Banjul Rotary 51,000, Standard Bank 10,000, Marimo 50,000, Transfer Council's contribution for COVID-19 1 million, cash received 350, cash received 300, cash received 165, cash received 151,000, cash received 110,000, cash received 100,000, cash received 55,000, cash received 50,000, and cash received 11,500. Total 2,709,000. Then Africell, that is the Mamadi Jao 533,000. Cash received Mamadi Jao 450,000. Total 983,000. The overall total is 3,839,999.30. The auditor recommended that the management should ensure that a donation account is maintained to account for all the donations received by the council. This should be recognized in the revenue and expenditure statement. And thereafter, the management responded.
Thank you. We noted the observation. The reason why we were not recognized as part of the council is that donation is not mentioned anywhere in the chart of accounts in the financial manual for local government. Authorities, however, we created a control account to monitor the movement of transaction. Hence, we are not part of the nominal revenue lines. These donations are normally raised by committees or task force set for specific activities, were subsequently disbursed to the said committees for implementation of their activities. If you look at the manual, we have only their deposits, deposit to be paid back and deposit account. That's our account that I mean for special assignment, which are received then after disbursed for that activity and then net off. But we will take off their note and we'll make sure that they are recognized henceforth on the main council's revenue lines. And the auditor further comments that the council disclosed donations received on the 2020 financial statement, supplementary information. How about the 2021? No, 2021, no. Auditor?
Yes, for the report, this happened in 20. I know this has to do with the COVID-19, during the COVID-19. So that's why it was significant material that even though it's not a revenue rate generated from their main activity, but it's important because it's given for the citizens. So it's important for them to disclose it. That was the reason. And they've acted on the recommendation.
So it's affected 2020. Honorable members.
Thank you, Chair. Now, going by the explanation from the finance, on the first item, which is the deficit paid by the council, about 147,999.30. Now, going by what he's saying here, he said these donations are normally raised by committees or task force set up for specific activities where subsequently disbursed to the said committees for implementation of the activities. So why do you have to pay a deficit of 147,000 since these are meant for specific activities?
That deficit was is part of still now about the historical figures that have been following us, Honorable, that were been coming on that deposit account for long, since this deposit account has been used since celebration of birthday of former president. That deposit account has been used. Sometimes they overuse it and there are some deficit at the time. And that figure has been lingering there and it cannot be cleared. So just to normalize the accounts, the council clear the balance, and we have a clean sheet henceforth from 2021.
Yeah, but if you look at the total you have here, 3,839,939.
Yes.
If you look at that, is in fact you've actually added again the 147,000 instead of subtracting based on what you are saying. Because if you add the two subtotals, the first subtotal you have 2.7 million, then the second subtotal is about 983,000. So if you add these two, is about almost 3.6 million. But then you've taken again 147,000, which was supposed to be written off some kind of way, but you've also again added on it. So you are actually overstating this figure by 147,000.
Overstating the figure by 147,000. The 147,000 was the balance of the deficit paid from the deposit account.
Yes.
So the others are in the current transactions that occur on 2020. Just disclosed like that.
That's correct.
Yeah. But
no, what I'm saying is if you add this first subtotal, it's about 2.7. You see it on page 85.
wow.
The first subtotal is about 2,709,000, right? Then you have two transactions, one from AfriCell and the other was cash received by Mamadou Diao, 450,000. So the two total 983,000. So if you add those subtotals, 983,000 plus 2.7 million, then you still get 2,600 something thousand, as opposed to 3,839. So what it seems is you've also taken again the 147 and add on these totals to give you 3.8.
Yeah, because you are just giving up the subtotal of the deposit account.
No, but this is a deficit. That means there's no money.
There was no money.
Exactly.
It was paid by the council. It was cleared by the council based on the activity that we were spending. There's a shortfall on the donation amount based on the activity cost. So it has to be cleared.
Okay, so when you look at your accounts here, on the revenue side, we like the auditor indicated, it has not been shown anywhere.
On the yes, it's not recognized.
Yes.
Let me explain to you. They have filed for the COVID-19 here. When the donation files came, the CEO says he's the one receiving the checks. And all the receipts were drawn in the name of the CEO. And they've been requesting for expenditure. So I called Bakari, director is here. I called him during the COVID-19. Things were tense. People were saying this is not council money, this is not money. No, but it has to be recognized through our cash here. But the receipts are here. The file is here with me. So the receipts were drawn in her name. Even these names, we were managed to get it. But some of the cash receipts, that's why we couldn't get the receipt, the actual name. But all the receipts were done in the name of the CEO and the request for disbursement through the deposit to be paid cash back, just to account for the in and outflow of the donation accounts, just to control it. But it was under the office of the CEO, obviously, and disaster management committee.
The point is trying to put across whether that deficit that was paid to should be added to this amount. So that's the question. It is observed that is added, that's why it is totaling to 3.8, when actually it's supposed to be 3.6. Adding the 147 total to 3.8. So he's asking whether that should be added or otherwise.
Well, we regard this as part of the donation, the 147, because we see it as council donating the activity as well. Just count it as a donation as well. That's why we added to the total figure.
But was that money existing? That's the issue.
Okay, I think what I'm trying to get at is, because since if the council is paying for that, because like he said, it's a amount that was lingering since 2019, I can see here.
Wow.
Then on their accounts, on the expenditure side, you would have expected that we're also going to show. Maybe if you can help us on your finances here, on the expenditure side, where exactly is that 147,999?
That's what I'm telling you. This donation account, this depository paid account is not part of the ledgers. It is a mere control account. That's where the revenue comes in and flow out of donations activities. But these were never recognized in the financial statement. That's why we disclose these figures here.
No, I'm talking about the expenditure side now.
Even the expenditure side is on the same account.
No, the one that the council has paid. You said that the council has paid the amount.
Well,
you see, the council has taken money to pay.
To pay.
Yeah.
That was them. It is a Bradford figure. It's a Bradford figure. That 147,000 negative was a Bradford figure, which the account was overspent on a special activity, and it has to be cleared.
Noted. Yes, any other?
On the same issue, Director of Finance, which accounting policy are you using? Is it not the cash basis?
It's the cash basis.
It's the cash basis.
Yes.
Do you transfer deficit from one period to the other after recognizing it as an addition or subtraction in the accumulated fund?
Well, let me tell you the way this deposit account works.
No. Let's clear this one first.
Go ahead.
Not that explanation. You want to justify your treatment.
Yes.
You said it's a rolling balance.
Yes.
It's a deficit from the previous period.
Yes.
Now you are using the cash basis of accounting. Deficits or surpluses in a particular reporting period are treated as additions or subtractions from the accumulated fund. Period.
Yes. Yes.
So why is this one rolling over?
Well, this one, I was telling you, this is a Bradford figure that found this COVID-19 found that figure there. That figure, maybe at the time of memorial, so long time ago, they've been using the deposit account.
No. Let's forget about what KMC is doing historically.
Yes.
As per your accounting policy,
Yes.
Is it right? Based on the accounting policy you are using, is it right?
It's a cash basis we are using. If
Yeah,
it is cleared, it should be cleared through the accumulated fund.
In that particular reporting period?
Yes.
So there is no way.
Actually, there was a problem in the preparation of the financial statement. We have an issue.
No, we're not going there.
Yes.
Let's clear this one first. We'll get to those issues as we progress. Let's clear this transaction.
Okay.
Is your accounting treatment correct?
For me here, I was just disclosing the figures. That accounting figure, we are just disclosing the figures as per the donation account, because they are not recognized as part of the council's income and expenditure statement. So we disclose it here. That's just a disclosure purpose.
Director of Finance, sorry. The 147.
Yes.
You indicated that the council paid it. That's what you said. Not so. That's what you responded to Honorable Mbo. That the council paid it. Was that not your response?
My response is that 147, it's a purpose of a donation that came in. And the donation amount was not sufficient to pay the activity. And that account was overspent. It's not my making. I found it there. Hold on. I found that overspent amount.
No, you wait.
Can you please?
You wait.
One at a
Yes,
time.
I found that 147 on the accounts lying down. So we continue using the account in this COVID-19. So when we are to prepare the financial statement, that 147 is council spending, because if you overspend a donation account, that means you have spent it from the council's fund. That was maybe 2016, 2017, 2018.
No, let's not speculate. Wait, let's not speculate here. You are the director of finance.
No.
Wait, you are the current director of finance. If you find an anomaly in the records and you carry it over, it's no longer the responsibility of the individual who left. Now let's correct this. And you've clearly stated the deficit in the donations account was financed by the council. So the question of saying now they don't touch the council's accounts is no longer there, because the money being used now is from the council's revenue. True or false? Just a short answer to that.
Yes, it's true.
It's true.
Yeah.
Not so. And since it is being spent from the council's funds, the account should have been closed in that particular year, and it will be reported under the expenses. True or false? It will be. Even if you want now, let's say it was in 2013. It's on cash basis.
Yes.
It will be reported there.
Yes.
I just want to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Yep.
Now it is reported there and closed, which means now council have donated to that particular activity. So why are you rolling it over? Why are you rolling the $147,000?
Okay. Director of Finance.
On the same issue, we have to conclude that.
That's a question why rolling over.
Well, Chairman, the purpose of this disclosure is to show that these figures, we could not close it at that particular year, because that particular year has already been closed. That year has been run, 2019 has been run, 2018 has been run. So you cannot go back and make any adjustment for that particular year. So what we did, we only disclose it here as a subtotal.
Chairman,
We just have broad figure and close it as a
Is
subtotal.
it right to...
Chairman,
to do
Chairman,
that?
Chairman, wait.
That's the point.
I was at a point, so deflating it and bringing back everything would not solve it. Let's clear that point.
Yeah, is it right to do that, Director?
Yes.
To close it, we are just disclosing it because that account is not part of.
Is it right? Whether it's right, yes or no?
No, it's not right. That's why we're disclosing it.
Thank you. Can I proceed? Okay, you want to come? After you, I can come. Okay. Chairman,
Yes.
if I still have the floor, who is tracking these donations?
These donations were paid direct to the cashier.
Yeah. Who was tracking them? The cashier would only receive it.
Director of Finance.
Is the director of finance. Okay. So now, since they were not treated as a revenue line item, you will take your explanation for that. It has its implications, but we will take that. In the expenditures, how do you treat them? How are the expenditures reported in the books of the councils? That's what I'm asking. So it is an off the account transaction. Okay. Do you have a listing of all the expenditures in that particular one? Okay. Okay, just a last one, which is an observation. Let's go to page 85.
Page
85.
55.
On the 28th of May 2020, it says transfer council contribution for COVID-19 1 million. Can you explain to us what that actually is? And where are the funds coming from? From the council's coffers. How was that treated in your accounts? Since you don't have donations, the chart of accounts of the council does not have donations. How was it treated?
Sorry. The amounts is moved from the traveling votes to the donation account, deposited to the paid account, and then procure the rice.
No, that is understood.
Yes.
I mean now, how is the expenditure recognized in the books of the councils? Since council funds were used for that particular one, how did you recognize it?
It's recognized as they wrote a request which was used, and then the amount was disbursed, and the amount is recognized in the expenditure line
As what?
as support to COVID-19 disaster relief from disaster.
In the chart of accounts, they have it there.
Disaster. We have a disaster vote there.
Can you trace us and then show us in the chart of accounts where you have that particular payment, where the 1 million is reflecting in 2020?
We'll go through it.
Refer us there, because you said you didn't have it. So refer us to that particular one. Let's
Disaster
know.
vote. We have a disaster.
maybe I can help.
If you go to page 53, last item, disaster management account mitigation. Disaster management and mitigation, that it falls under
Page
page 53.
50.
Three. Is it the last item? If it is the last item, the value reported in 2019 was 514,740, which is less than the 2021 million that was given.
Director, you at 53.
You should, Chairman, you should give me time to go and look at my ledgers properly to locate this 1 million, because actually on this, the accounts, the way they are mapped, it could fall in one of the expenditure lines. Actually, I cannot just single out a particular transaction and point it out here. They are mapped in groups.
That is the council's contribution.
Council contribution, yes. I can track it out.
Chairman, do you want my advice?
On that.
Yes, because I posed the question. And
You want to put a question?
no, not a question on this particular one, because
What do you want to put?
the value is significant. And where we are now, we are looking at the consistency in your treatment of the donation account. You said donations are not council funds. That's why they don't appear in the book. The auditors took that. Even though it was the goodwill of the council that was used in soliciting these funds. But the auditors took that. Now the council, on 2 instances, have used funds. And these funds were used as what? Donations. Now this one is coming from the rightful income of the taxpayers. And which should be reported as an expense as well. Director of Finance, that shouldn't be difficult for you to find as an accountant. Your chart of accounts should be here. It should be here. So chairman saying, give me time to go and look at it, that one is just an excuse, to be honest.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
the advice. Narrow. Auditor, how do you relate this to the position of the auditor that the council donations received on supplementary as supplementary? Now, does that address this situation that we are trying to portray?
Yes, according to the report, I don't think we don't single-handedly. I don't think this question is very recent to the auditor.
Okay.
But the only thing observed, the donation, the deficit. Naturally, if you have a deficit, it should reduce your donation received. So what happened was you are inflating your donation, meaning because deficit should reduce the amount of this, but if you include it as part of your donation, meaning you are inflating the donation receipt. The figure that you are reporting as you receive as donations is overstated, and then it will be very difficult for you to get out when people say, oh, but there is this variance. I think this is the problem that all the councils are having. And then I keep saying this, some of these things, because the moment you don't get your recording right, it will hunt against you, because they will ask you about a figure that you cannot explain. And then the next minute, what you see is this missing when you yourself doesn't know how it comes about. And they are witness. This is what I keep telling them. And that will always happen. These millions, they cannot explain. Because the Director of Finance here cannot explain. So the auditors also, we cannot explain. That is why we just give the appropriate opinion. Yeah, I think this is just my advice.
Yes.
I think it's it's very clear that the donation account actually is not correct. It's very clear from here. Because two things you can take a look at. Because if you look at their notes, particularly note 13 that talks about general expenses, and then note 14 talking about capital expenses, you can actually trace this figure. You cannot trace it from any one of them. Because if you look at the outliners, for example, fuel and lubricant, you look at contribution to operation of WDC, then another one, equipment and computer accessories, another one, support to poverty youth, then another one, landfill maintenance. Those one cannot be mapped to any one of those. It's not possible. So essentially, the figure is not correct. It's incorrect on the accounts.
Yeah, that is the point your auditor is trying to put across, being overstating the amount would rather make the figure incorrect. And that's a point that should be noted for them to do the necessary correction. Any issue? Any issue?
Okay, thank you for giving me the floor. And then what I want to highlight here based on the management response, because key is always to improve or to sort out a problem. So anytime you put the blame on the success of that, this was what was happening and it was wrong, and you are there to replace that person without correcting that issue, the same thing is going to haunt you, not the person who left there. So based on the management response, since you find the records, that's why some of these amounts, you cannot trace them. So since you find it's not in the financial manual of the Local Government Act, what were the best practices as an accountant that you applied, that we are using to write these amounts? Because they are donation amounts, despite the financial manual did not spell out how it should be written or money. But how did you record it now?
For donations?
Yes.
For donations, we usually have it occasionally, not a regular. Council don't have regular donations, only on a specific program that the councils go out and look for fund. Task force will set, they go and look for fund, and those task force, they will submit that money into the cashier. That money, because if they have to donate the council, they will write the check in the name of KMC. And actually, those people, they cannot cash those checks, and they have to access those funds. What they will do, they will pay that money into the council, and council will receive that money with our council receipts in that name, and that account will be posted into deposits. We have a deposit account. That's what the manual dictates us. Open a deposit. Any money that doesn't belong to the council is a specific group that owns it. Put it on that deposit. If they request for it, based on normal documentation, they write and bring evidence that they own that money and approved by the CEO, and that money is disbursed to that committee to go and spend on their activity.
Yeah. What I'm trying to say here, even if I'm the one donating to you, like 1 million,
Yes.
even if it is once a year, I would want to see how that 1 million is spent. So that's why I'm asking, how did you normally record it? Since it's not in the financial manual, what is the procedure? Since you are new there, although it's not there in the
Yes.
account of week, we cannot blame you.
Yes.
But being a new person there, occupying that position, it's not like you have to continue maybe the way the other guy was doing, because that's why you came in.
The best practice will be we will create a revenue line on the donation as a revenue line. In the first place will be created. It is not there, but we will create it. Any subsequent revenue that comes in as a donations, it will recognize on the revenue line and spend and spent accordingly on the expenditure line. And it will be featured.
Yeah, I'm just asking because some of
I
these
know.
funds,
Yeah.
you know why I'm asking? Because if they are not properly recorded,
Yeah,
then it's going to be difficult for you to explain
exactly.
how you spend them. Because they're not
Exactly.
proper. That's why I said,
Yeah.
being a new person in that position,
Yeah.
despite it's not in the books,
Yeah,
what were the best practices we are doing to manage those funds? Because even the donor would want it to be accountable because it's not specifically for you,
Yeah.
but for a purpose.
I know.
And you want to see how that funds are spent. That's why I'm asking that question.
Yes, you said you will create a budget line for donations.
yeah.
It's an issue of 2020. I hope it will not be repeated in your subsequent reports. Okay.
As an audit manual, it states that all funds accrued to the council shall be put in a council development fund. It is there. So for him to say that that's not in the Local Government Finance and Audit Act, I disagree. It's there. Because that donation was made on behalf of the council. So those funds generated, they belongs to the council. It's council's fund. And the act is saying that all funds should be put in a development fund. Thank you.
Opana, question?
Thank you, Chair. The only point I want clarity on is this. What we are seeing, two things have been understated here. One is the revenue, the other one is the expenses. Because we all know the donations are received based on the goodwill of the council. Even if at all we accept the fact of you using a separate control account, the funds you took from the council, which is from the taxpayers' money, how it was accounted for in the donations account, cannot be traced. So I strongly believe it's gone beyond saying, moving forward, we'll map it in the chart of accounts. We have a responsibility as accountants. This is not about the CEO or any other guy. This is accounts function.
Yeah.
It's accounts function. So fine, one can say in the reporting, that's an opinion. One can say the figures are missing because proper records were not what? Maintained. What if someone have a different opinion? It will trickle back down to you. It will trickle back down to you. So I strongly believe, Chair, since you've asked from your humble seat that he be given time to present where actually that donation of $1 million was charged, we need to have that evidence because that's coming from the taxpayers' money. You know, and moving forward, as per the management response, we can update the accounts, but we need the evidence of that 1 million to know exactly where it was charged. That is purely on the accounting function. Thank you.
The director,
Noted.
the points are noted.
Then
And
you
the
don't want
points-
to direct
That is also observed that the figure,
on according on what rights.
the figure as the donations was somehow inflated, and that should be corrected. I think that is observation that was also made. Yeah. Which figure was that? 1 million, okay. supplementary?
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I think that makes it more serious. Are you confirming that? Is the Lord Mayor's narrations correct, Director of Finance?
Pardon?
I'm asking the Director of Finance whether what the Lord Mayor has said is the correct version.
On the price during the COVID.
No, what he said is this was not a donation. It was the direct purchase, not so.
Support.
Right. That's what he's saying.
Support.
Now wait. His narration and yours are different. We want to get the basis. If you agree to his narration, then we can go back to the donations account and look at the implications. If you stick to your initial narration, then we can proceed as it was recommended by the chairperson. That's why I would ask the question again. Do we go by the narration of the Lord Mayor, then we can redo the donations account again?
Well, yeah, it's correct. What she said is correct. It was procurement, but it's council support on the COVID-19.
Okay.
On the COVID. It's the same as the COVID donation. They are all part of the same expenditure line.
It's different. The moment you say it's donation, we'll stick to the evidence. If we go by what the Lord Mayor is saying, then he've answered our question. We just need the reflection to see it in the chart of accounts. Lord Mayor, this is a typical financing issue where I mean.
But I want to just clarify.
One at a time.
You can donate in kind or in cash. It's an in-kind donation to COVID victims.
Okay. Let me help you. Lord Mayor, allow me. Yeah. You see, financial records are not based on opinion. These are fact-based, and so they should reflect in the books. You are not donating in kind here. You are donating in cash. It's evident. It's $1 million. That is the monetary equivalent. That is no longer kind. So it's no longer about opinion anymore. This is the fact. That is the fact. We are not there. It was not even put up by the auditors. You are the one who put the listing under your notes. So what we are simply asking you to do is to substantiate your notes. Because the auditors are saying the accounts are not credible. So now we are giving you a second option to substantiate what you bring. This is not an opinion. This is a fact. So tell us exactly what happened and how we would trace it in the chart of accounts, even if at all we go by the narration of the mayor, that it was a direct purchase. From your chart of accounts, you cannot explain it. Because the line item you pointed at, the total there is 514,000. Why are we asking it? If the 1 million is going as donation, the accountability becomes different. It's no longer reported in the books of the council. That's why we are particular about the value. And by all indications, the treatment the accountant said is the correct version. It was treated as a donation. Totally from the books of the accounts and went straight into the control account. How it was expended there, we can't tell. Because if you look at your chart of accounts and that disaster management account, the value there is 514,000. That's not up to $1 million. But why didn't the corresponding entry come? This is our correction. Do we get it?
We'll provide.
Can we still stick on to the
initial one?
What the director said?
Thank you.
Yes, donation can be cash or in kind.
Okay.
However, in case that's the evidence should be shown as how it was used to spend. I think this is what the director could not verify.
Yeah.
And then he can try to do that.
Yeah, I think the issue here is the deficit paid by the council, not like the 1 million. This was a donation from the council to the COVID-19. So it was like the mayor rightly said, we passed a resolution and cut from the traveling boat because we couldn't travel then, and then procure rice that each ward benefited. Thank you.
Yeah, the directors, I think still come to the point. The directors who just saw us.
Yeah,
How that was,
tracks.
financially, how those records.
Yes, Chair, what I want. the people of KM because a lot of people were not working, etc. Maybe your challenge is how that was treated financially, and that is the job of the finance manager.
That still come this boil to the same point. I think the finance director will be coming in to provide those.
Can I have a last one on it, Chair? I give it to you. I'm closing it now. We will not stay long.
If you have last, I will also come.
No, it's different. Lord Mayor, Lord Mayor, it's not. When I have a question for you, I'll come to you directly. It's not a competition or an exchange. This is very relevant. Your Director of Finance is the one responsible to report the financial position of KMC. Are we together? The Lord Mayor have an oversight function. Fine. Your context as to what might happen could help in establishing the facts. But his treatment in the accounts will provide the audit opinion as they have stated. You clearly said when donations are received, they are not accounted in your books, which means the auditors are not privy to the donation account. They don't know. You can only give them the value, but they don't know. And whatever is not treated into your accounts, then all other rules as stipulated by acts with regards to procurement or whatsoever does not apply. Now, if we see taxpayers' money of 1 million going into that shouldn't be trivialized. That doesn't ask for an opinion. That asks for facts and evidence. So this is not about the accounting treatment. This is about the funds and its accountability.
Yeah, I think now.
So Chair, what I want to say here is, let's follow the facts, let's follow the evidence, and we stick it to that.
This is where we conclude. That's where we conclude. The director promised that he's going to act on that. Can we go to the next point if there is no other issue?
Other issue on just to close. Also, if you look at the donation, what they have shown, some they put name on it, and then the rest there is no name. For example, you will see cash donation with the number 306531 cash received. Not sure who actually donated 350,000. Another one also cash received 300,000. So it's equally important that we get the names of those people that have donated also as well on the listing.
Okay, those are supplementary information. Finance Director, you've taken note? Yes. Okay. The next point is on non-maintenance of interest holders account. The auditor's findings reveal that the council did not maintain an interest holders account for the issuance and the retirement of this interest. The total interest issues were recorded in the entertainment account, where retirements should be entered as receipt of cash. Details are shown below. Cash interest for payment of sanitary materials, $1,500. Cash interest for fumigation materials, 35,000, totaling to 36,500. Cash interest for food and beverages, 7,700. Cash interest for food and beverages, 7,700 again, and another 7,700 for the same purpose, and then 7,700 again for the same 7,700 continues for the same, and then the cash payment for food and beverage 15,400, a total of 92,400, and for subtotal, then the overall total is 128,900. The auditors recommended that the management should ensure that an interest control account is maintained to account for all interest issued and their subsequent retirements. The management responded.
Thank you, Chairman. The council have stopped issuing general interest. If you look at this interest all issued, they are already clarified and determine which vote they belongs to. And they are all registered, and everybody issued impress at once. Nobody is issued impress twice, unless you retire the previous impress. Because the council have stopped issuing general impress. The only impress issued are based on specific activity that affect a specific vote or expenditure line, which is registered on a way book for monitoring and retirement accordingly. However, we will come back to that with the IFMIS. We will start creating account impress holders account, and by this year, inshallah, we'll continue implementing the auditor's recommendation.
The action point indicated that the situation will be regularized in 2023.
Yeah.
Has that happened?
Yes.
Or is on course? Pardon?
Yeah, we were implementing it with the IFMIS. Yeah.
And there's no further comments from the auditor?
No.
Honorable members?
Yeah, just want to find out their policy on impress at this moment. The policy they have in terms of amounts, in terms of retirement time frame, etc., etc. What are the policies that you currently have?
For impress, you must retire your previous impress prior being issued another impress. And impress a maximum amount issued for impress not more than 30,000. Except when you have a major disaster like the back of the dump site fire and so forth. That one we issue impress up to 100,000. But apart from that, this minor operational 10,000, maximum 30,000.
Any other question? In the absence of no other question and no further comment from the auditor, we can proceed to the next point. There is lack of clear description on main cashier's cash book and ledgers. The auditor's finding revealed that they noted that there was no clear description given to account transactions recorded in the main cashier's cash book, journal, and ledgers. The description in the main cashier's cash book states name of collectors only, and then the journal ledgers did not detail the transactions. And there the auditor recommended that the management should ensure that transactions recorded in the main cashier's book, journal, and ledgers are given detailed descriptions. The management responded.
And the observation said, and the recommendation will be implemented henceforth. It was due to the volume of transactions that the accounts have been relying mainly on the chart of accounts, because in cash receipts, all cash receipts are attached to a vote, and that vote gives you the description what kind of revenue is that line. And the ledgers also, and the cashier's cash book end up going to the ledgers. Ledgers are all on the particular vote of revenue line. So henceforth, now we will start giving the full description on the IFMIS, full description of the revenue line, receipt, and the journals by coming this year, inshallah.
And that the situation will be regularized 2023?
Yes.
Is it on course?
Yes, on course.
There's no further comment from the auditor. Honorable members? Yes, Savannah.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The auditor's findings, I want us to look at the journals, the journal entries, because even in the financial statements which are provided, I want to refer you to the page first. If you go to page 55, page 55, are we there?
Yes.
Yes.
55.
Page 55, moving to page 56. You realize that these adjustments resulted to significant values. From 79 million, it went to 17 million. We are talking about general adjustments of 62 million. But if you look at these general adjustments, over 90% of the adjustments, the only thing we have there as narrations to the transaction is being reversal of wrong posting. Can you help us understand better how does this stand as evidence to prove the transaction?
As I told you, these were historical figures. And these historical figures, to go back and dig down the main cost root of that will create another 5 years for us to come back with a credible financial statement. We've been giving a cutoff mark, like a deadline of 2019. 2019, we should have produced a single year account, 2019. By providing 2019, if we were to provide a single year account, we will not have any issue. But we brought forward the figures, and the figures were carried forward errors. That negative figures here and there, and unreconciled figures. So now, if we are to go back to 2014, 2016, back to reconcile and come back, it will be ages again before we have a credible financial statement. That's why we start the reconciling and generalizing in 2021 to ensure that 2021 we have a clean financial statement henceforth.
Yes.
So, Director of Finance, in effect, you are telling us that all these entries you did, all these journal postings, they are not evidence-based. It was just to clean and start with a fresh figure. Is that what we are having from you? I just want to understand what you said. Is that what you actually mean?
No, not actually, because if we look at the debtors figure was as a result of as a result of this accrual basis. We brought it on the face as a receivables. And in the subsequent year, we say we have to go by cash basis purely. The market debtors equally the same thing. We have to go by cash basis, and we have to suspend the accrual basis, and those figures have been lingering on the face of the balance sheets, and those have to be clear. If you look at the 2015-16 or 2016-17 financial statement, those attachments are there attached as the debtors figure, which I've been searching for. But I'll get the financial statement, and I'll brought the figures to justify the figures. That's the major figure, 81 million. That's the biggest figure. The rest are here and there negative, which account set of each other, and then the balances have been shown.
Director of Finance.
But the bank reconciliation have been going on in accordance monthly, yearly.
Now, allow me, we will not distract this point.
Yes.
The figures are significant. On page 55, you have 8.4, you have 835,000, you have 848,000. All of these, the narrations are wrong reversals. All of it. 8.4 million, writing off from fintechs. 835,000 being reversal of wrong deposit. 731,000 being correction of posting error in the cash transit. 848,000 being reversal of wrong postings.
Yeah.
The list goes on.
Yeah.
The debtors was only one of it. That one we've concluded it because we've asked for a listing.
Yeah.
I'm just quoting what you said. You said to go back and find the cause of these journal entries would have taken us 5 years back. But here you are, you've made journal entries. So the question is, are you telling us that these journal entries are not evidence-based? Because the narrations are not there.
But the records are there anyway.
No, I'm taking your words.
No,
are you taking back that word?
No, the records are, the ledgers that we journal this for, the evidence base are there. We can provide them. The evidence base are there, the records are there. I forwarded the adjustments all done during the weekend to one of the senior auditors. Yeah, I forward them all the journals that we done.
So you've taken back the initial statement?
Yes.
You've taken that back. So now the question is, why did you bring the narrations here as being reversal of wrong postings? Because that's what the auditors are saying.
Well, we accepted the notes that that's not enough. We could have give proper description of the transaction. We agreed, but we will change. We told them we will agree, and then we adopt their recommendations.
Chairman, I will close there, but you know what is the fact? I take his words. You said it. You couldn't go 5 years back.
No.
So the postings here were just figures you brought. You said it, not us. Thank you.
We note that you indicated that in 2023, the situation will be regularized.
Obvious.
And I put to you whether that is on course.
Yeah.
and you indicated that that is on course.
It's on course, yes.
We hope that should be reflected in your subsequent reports. Any other issue?
Chair, I think it's also important maybe for them to explain to us exactly, because when you are doing these reversals, these are really significant. Can you tell us really the processes that they undergo? Like who initiates, who approves these reversals? Because again, when you talk about 81 million, another area you talk about 8 million, etc., to be reversed in the system, revenue-wise, I think this is very significant for the council. So I would like to know, how does the process work? Who initiates and who actually authorizes, and whether the General Council is in the picture of these huge reversals in the system?
Honorable, we raised it the last time. Honorable asked the same question last time. I responded. The Finance Committee is the committee that's all general and vouchers are to be signed by the Director of Finance and the CEO. All inputs in the system. But if there are major adjustments to be done, environment, reversal, it has to go to the Finance Committee for endorsement.
Honorable Mbo, you are done?
Need to get the evidence to show, because it's going to be of interest for us to see exactly the supporting document for the 81 million reversal, 81.9 million reversal, the $8.4 million reversal, and another one 15.8 million reversal, and another one 1.7 million. So any amount over 1 million, I think we need to get some documentation to confirm who actually authorized this and what are they for, because the narration in the system is not really very comprehensive, as indicated by the auditor.
A minute.
Still on the same issue, I will have two questions. One will be for the Director of Finance, and the other one I will go to the auditors. Just on page 56. On page 56. Still now we are talking about the journal entries, the journal vouchers, and why the auditors are saying the narrations or the descriptions are not full. If you look at the second to last posting, which is $3,650,161.63 bututs, it is saying being adjustment on the staff loan account. Can you explain to us what that exactly means?
Right. The staff is the staff control loan control account that we have on the finance. And there was an issue of the payroll being able to segregate the repayments monthly to enable us to update while we are charging all loan issued through the loan control account. The amount is stagnant while prepayment is going on the payroll, but not been adjusted on the Finex. And the figures stagnant on the payroll, on the Finex, as 4 million. But now the payroll has been adjusted, and we call the Nifty. They came and extract the reports and give us the physical balance of the loans account, which was 1.7 as opposed to the 4 million that the auditors were claiming. That's why we but that means the amount has been overstated by 3 point something, which is we cleared from the loan control account.
Okay, I'll come back to that. Now to the auditors. Since you don't have evidence to back up the journal vouchers, which affected the corrections to the prior period errors, now the finance director is saying the correction will be effected in 2023, all the accounts will be fresh. Will you prospectively have confidence on the figures that will be coming?
Oh, for now, we don't, because the action to be taken is said it will be corrected, meaning they've already accepted that the figures are not credible, there are errors, and they said they will be corrected in 20, and we are yet to. We will confirm that when we get back, and then any update, then we will update the assembly accordingly. But we can only confirm that when we go back for the 2022 audit, yeah. So we look at the prior year matter, the status of implementation, what they have said, whether there is improvement or whatever, then we will report that accordingly. Yeah.
Sorry, why I'm asking this question is, Currently on page 55, corrections are being done. If you look at the accumulated fund, because of the correction, the value have reduced from 90 million to 1.9 million. Not so. And that figure is what they are going to use. And you've expressed an opinion on those adjustments, that they are not evidence-based. And prospectively, those are the figures they are using. So this is why I'm posing the question. Because the recommendation the chair is taking is the management respond, that corrections are done and moving forward it wouldn't come. That's why we are posing the question whether the corrections done here are sufficient enough to say future balances will be accurate.
Yeah, the corrections done here will be evaluated, because even if you look at the reason why we having these disclaimers also, it's like it has a correction with the previous opinion, previous figures, the prior year figures. Even if you did the correction and then the evidence is not provided to the auditors cannot still say the correct, it is true and fair. It has to be evidence-based, because audit is all about evidence-based. So if they provided and then the necessary documentations update, then we will definitely, but if that is not, just to say the figures has been corrected without any evidence, then the opinion will be determined accordingly in the subsequent audit.
Chair, at this point I want to make a proposal so that we can move. Like, if you go to note 19, page 55, you'll correlate it to the management letter point, and then ask the Director of Finance of KMC to forward the evidence of all the corrections and the reversals, which are done from page 55, note 19 to page 56, for the review of the auditors. And subsequently, the auditors can advise the Finance and Public Accounts Committee. That will be my proposal. Instead of them providing those evidence to us, let them provide it to the auditors. Let the auditors evaluate it and narrate a report to FPAC. Thank you.
Any other point? Sorry, Mr. The Doctor, will you advise? Yeah, we've been advised that maybe when we are discussing, yes. Yeah, subject matter. Yeah, when we are doing, yeah, I understand. Sorry, I understand, Doctor. When we're at the interrogation stage, yeah, the rule don't permit the SMS to, yeah. Go to the next point. Areas of rates. There is finding by the auditor that areas of rates of 242,450,556.97 and 253,404,553.58 for the years 2020 and 2021 respectively. This was in respect of residential and commercial rates, details in Annex A. And the recommendation that was made by the auditor, the management should institute a mechanism to ensure that these areas are recovered and rates collected on time. The management responded.
Thank you. Your observation is noted. The management have instituted a strong mechanism to ensure these areas are collected. The council have hired a lawyer who installed an enforcer officer at the rates unit to ensure recovery is carried out accordingly. We have also a magistrate installed within the council premises to handle all cases related to rates and trade license defaulters. And the ITB provided us with a highly experienced prosecutor who are doing all effort to bring these defaulters to the court. Also, we have engaged another private lawyer, supposed to be, to deal with cases that our retainer have conflict of interest. So, in fact, we will continue the enforcement by this continuous year, inshallah, 2023.
And indicated the situation will be regularized this year.
Yes.
Is it on course?
It's on course.
Thank you, Chair. I think it's very surprising that the areas that are actually owed is really huge, because if you look at their revenue, really what they're reporting, and the areas, for example, 2020, it seems they are only collecting less than 50% of what is due to them, and that has a serious implication in the operation of KMC. So maybe we need to find out exactly where is the actual problem. Is it about efficiency? Is it about maybe a lack of staff? What exactly is the issue? Because if you look at 2020, what they have total revenue is about 222 million, but then on the same year they have areas of 242 million, meaning they have not even collected 50% of what is due to them. What is the actual issue here? Yeah,
Accumulated.
yeah, but if you go to 2021, it says also 253. So total you have 404 million. So for me, when I read the figures, it says that 2020 accumulated IRS is 242, but then if you go to 2021, also accumulated 253 million 404. So it's actually increasing, right? It's actually increasing. So where is the issue here? Because 200 million, that's a lot of money.
The issue enforcement is one of. We have cases for 12 years with the Sheriff Division. To execute is a problem. It's a problem. And we have a problem of addressing, which we are working on the GIS. We have a problem of valuations. And then there are so many issues in it. And the families also, family problems, where people leave their younger kids with a compound. You don't know much to do about that. People are not doing this inheritance properly. So registration also, and lawyers are also transferring property into 4 people without council knowing it, and the areas being accumulated, property being sold to third, fourth person, and the list being transferred. Council is not informed. So we have so many issues in place that we are working in collaboration with the ministry to ensure that things are in place. But we are doing every effort. Even right now, we are carrying on 5A. We have a new magistrate who's doing very well at this moment. He's going around, attaching people's property straight, and people are coming to pay through the Sheriff Division. But definitely things are improving.
Yes.
Thank you, Director. I think this is a very important point.
Yeah.
Because the more funds you have,
Yeah.
the more you can definitely execute your mandate to the people. I just want to ask, do you have an agent list to this? Because I know the value is cumulative, not so.
Yeah.
It's rolling over. Do you have it in an agent way so that you prioritize it?
Aging rate, yes, we can have it, yes.
You have
That's
it in
why we are able to provide 2020 and 2021.
2020 and 2021.
It can give you also debt analysis by 5 million, below 10 million, below 1 million. Each category of debts, we have it by area, by sub area, by what. We have everything in the reports.
Yeah, I think, Chad, the other thing also we can do as a committee, because part of our oversight function is to also make sure that we help and enhance the operational efficiency of all these ministries, departments, and agencies.
Yeah.
That's why oversight is all about. So why not we also refer them to the local government select committee.
Yeah.
Together with them, if we can have the aging list, we can look at it together.
Okay.
And see where Parliament also can chip in, because this is a significant value. Over 253 million as it is standing now. That can implement a lot of projects in KMC, which will trickle down to the taxpayers as well. So if we can have the aging list from our end, also part of our recommendations, it will give us an insight as to what is happening. Then we can come and make recommendations from an informed point of view.
That will be appreciated.
Thank you.
Any other issue? Chairman. Lord Mayor?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment. Once we wrote to, I think, the select committee when Honorable Nyasi was in charge. And one of the issues that is hurting us a lot is this valuation role. We once asked the local government
to transfer these powers to council. Because the last time it was done was in 2005. So imagine if I valued your property in 2005 as an empty plot. Today there can be a multi-million-dollar structure there. Another issue is also because of this valuation is not done as per the Rates Act, which says every 5 years, we tend to do our own valuation because we cannot justify you paying $400 empty plot rate when you have a $50 million building on that property. So sometimes we do send our valuation officers, but then the law is on the side of the taxpayer because they will say, what is the basis of your valuation? So in essence, our rates values should be tripled by now because 2005 to date is almost 20 years. Property values have increased. There's a lot of built-up structures in KMC. Based on our last GIS report, there's 83,000 built-up properties in KMC and 35,000 plots. If you do the math, if the average was paying based on a new valuation, we are talking hundreds of millions of dollars. Another issue also that is really hurting us, and we started the exercise, but it's too expensive. The ministry once started it, but we don't know what happened, is the addressing system of municipalities. Because it is very difficult to collect rates if you can't keep track of people. We now have Google Plus codes. We are having a functional GIS unit, but we need to get extra layers of information in the form of street names and house numbers. But it's a program that will need national support. Another issue we have, like they said, is the enforcement from the Sheriff Division. As you know, when we came into office, our #1 goal is to boost revenues, and one of the things was recoveries. But there are cases that we actually won already, and properties are attached, but still there's no enforcement. At some point, we were even threatening to advertise names of people who are refusing blatantly to pay the council. And they are accumulating debts for many years. And eventually what will happen, if you check this 200 million, I am sure if you go by the Rates Act, it is still no longer valid. It's no longer valid. The reason being, there's an expiry date on rates. If areas, I can't remember the exact years, if areas are more than 6 years old, as per the Rates Act, then that person is no longer liable to the council. So these are things that are hampering. But as you were saying, the figure doesn't change because what happens, as we recover, more debts are also being generated. So also the magistrate court was not functioning for a long time. And also, what was also happening, there's a single business registry at the council. And I think the purpose of the single business window registry was to integrate government revenues with council. So it's a one-stop shop for your license, your rates, your business registration, but it is not functioning as planned and designed. You know, so there's a lot of hindrances to ensuring council revenues are high. So we will need some legislative help to ensure that councils can generate. And the last one is also a lot of revenues have been taken from councils. When the Tourism Board Act was created, the demarcation in the TDA, the Tourism Board now is collecting all licenses within the TDA. When our act says every business within also our jurisdiction must pay to us. So we have a problem where a business will say, I will not pay KMC because I have already paid GT Board. So these are all issues. The last one is, I know I'm just taking opportunity. So the last one is the car park fees. KMC has more vehicles registered or plying the roads of KMC, I think, than any other region except for West Coast. But government is collecting on our behalf and sharing equally amongst regions, which we also think is not fair, because then the amount of garages we need to create, the amount of facilities we need to create, of course, way more than other regions. Also, billboard fees are also not collected by, they were taken from councils and now collected by NRA. Gilma license livestock is also collected by different agencies. So council's ability to collect is very, very, very limited.
I think
Yes, thank you.
these are reflected in the
Activity report.
activity report. The challenges and constraints, they are outlined in the activity report. Can we move to the next point? If noted, on presidential lancing invoices. The council. Okay. Did we? Yeah. That's right.
Chairman, sorry, just one more, if you can indulge. Also, when a property is sold, we are not notified. So you come to a property with a certain name, and then you realize that it is sold to somebody else, and it becomes very difficult to collect. And what is happening now in KM, most people are renting out their property because of the high values, and we meet tenants there, and it's also a challenge to collect. But it all will come down to enforcement.
Yeah. Yes, Chair.
Thank you very much. Lord Mayor, you said council is not notified when properties are sold. Am I right? Do you have any idea how they go about it?
I will let the Director of Finance speak to the details, but we once wrote to the ministry saying that the transaction should really start at the council level, and then it can end at the ministry. So if, for example, you want to build and you want a building permit, I think council should first be notified and also give our clearance based on zoning laws or our urban development plan before you can get your final approval from the ministry. Same if you are selling a property, I think we should give some sort of clearance. That's why alcalos are under the council, so we can be notified and change and update our database before you can finalize the transaction. But we wrote a letter, we were never responded.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. Yes, basically, Lord Mayor, what I want to say here with regards to the issue of rates, basically, I think whenever there is a transfer of property, like when they sell their land property, I don't know, I think they should come to the council to make some transfers. Based on that, I think there should be a mechanism wherein whenever you come to the council for transfer, at least they should also try to go to the rates, you know, because when you have the alkali transfer, if you want to have occupancy, official transfer is done in the council, isn't it? For Bricam, I understand official transfers are made in council, and they put up a mechanism wherein if you want to go further to have your land occupancy, the mayor or the chairman must sign before you get your document. So I don't know whether there could be any mechanism wherein it can be a control mechanism wherein whenever there is transfer from one name to another, at least the rates department can be notified so that they can do some amendments.
Yes, Honorable, thank you, Chairman. I think what you have said is correct. For freeholds, they go to the alkalis. But for lease properties, all these properties are assigned through the lawyers. And the lawyers, they don't come to council. The lawyers prepare the assignment, they go to the ministry, approval, and that's why they stopped. And the ownership have changed. We could have seen many properties that have changed for ownership that has and the original owner is still with the council's books. You send them someone, I don't own this property, I sold it a long time ago. So what will you do? You have to trace in the other person who bought it. But lawyers also need to consult the council when they are doing their transfer of ownership, so that the council can take effect on the record to change the new ownership. And KMC 3/4, most of the properties are listed.
This is really yes. Yes, because because the reason why I'm saying this is a common problem for all area councils. So, and I think we should come together, collaborate, so that we can put up a proper mechanism, so that at least you can get your revenues to be able to do your activities. I think we need to work together in that, and we'll be ready to do that, inshallah.
Thank you. And just to clarify, since my tenure, I have never signed any transfer. And it's because KMC, I think majority of properties are listed. So if there was a law that required the transfer process must begin at the council before it ends at the ministry, I think that would help.
Yes, I think what I was going to say is, I think maybe as a committee, we need to find a way, as part of our recommendations, just to ensure that the council actually have all the information that are required for them to have a proper database. Because I know for now the businesses, because I have a business in KMC, I know now if you want to do business with government, there are certain requirements you have to have. First, they will tell you have to get a GPPA that you have to pay first before they give you. Number two, they also have to get you to get clearance from GRA. So for me, I think maybe they can put a third layer, which is clearance from KMC, that you actually started, so that you'll be paying. So I think maybe we need to capture that in our recommendations just to ensure, because otherwise it's going to be very difficult for them, and they're going to be losing a lot of revenue. And I think also in terms of this lease property, rental agreements. I mean, if you come to my place, I'll say, the owner is in the UK, the owner is in somewhere. And now how can they trace that particular person? So maybe also in terms of those rental agreements we have in the KMC and the West Coast, I think we need to also have some kind of concrete recommendations to ensure that those people that actually own those properties, they pay what they're supposed to pay. Otherwise, then the law takes its course. So I think there need to be more conversation along those lines to see what we can do, as long as we deal with the ministry, the councils, and let's sit down and then see the best way forward. Because otherwise, they're going to continue to get these areas for a very long time.
Chairman, I concur with Honorable. I think we tried to collaborate with JRA. I meet the manager at the Kanifing. He referred me to the Commissioner General. But I told him we have to collaborate so that we can collect on your behalf, collect on our behalf. When people come for clearance at the end of the year, put it as a requirement that have you paid your council tax? Even rates, a property, a business cannot clear his business when where he's carrying his business doesn't pay his rates. So you ask all those information from the tax so that people can come and comply. Then they come and settle their debts. Then the council will have its revenue. While the council on the other side also, we can collect withholding tax, any other tax that belongs to the government, on vice versa. We support each other. That was the essence of the single window, which have failed completely, definitely.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I think he's right. Because even the education levy, they'll make sure that you pay before you continue your transactions. So I think we need to see how best we can help. Because if government is putting all these prerequisites for you to be able to register, we should be able to put the councils also on board, so that they all pay all what they're supposed to pay. So I think we can make a lot of recommendations along those lines and ensure the respective ministries are in the picture to help, particularly GRA and the Ministry of Finance. Thank you.
Ahmad So. Oh, sorry. The management therefore responded to that. Can we hear from the management?
Anyway, the books were among the ones requested during the audit. But as a result, there was no evidence of receiving this document from us. And they returned the documents and just to see the list on scene. It was a surprise for us. But still now the books are available. We could provide to them when they come over for any follow-up.
The manager for the auditor for the recommended that the invoice remain outstanding and that the claim in the management response incorrect. That is, the evidences have not been presented with the management response. What's your take on that?
The evidence were provided. We even sent some of these invoice books to the office. We followed them to the office after the audit exercise with the invoice. Some of the invoices are here with me, which they have already observed and ticked and corrected, and some of the receipt books. These receipts, there is no reference. Some of them, there is no reference. It's too difficult to trace a book without a reference. I don't know where do they pick this book from. You have a book in a name without a serial number, only a year and the name of the collector. So I will further verify where do they get this information from. But all the invoice books were provided.
Honorable members, any questions?
You know, if you look at, for me, I'm particularly interested with the one without serial numbers. Because if you look at those ones here, you're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, almost like 350 in total lives. And what is happening? Maybe perhaps we should ask the auditor, because if he says there's no serial number, maybe they need to give us that information. What was it? Was it like they are blank, or was it that the receipts were not readable? What's the actual issue here? For those that are saying not available, any. Good afternoon. License invoice is just like other security documents administered through a so-called CRPR. This will indicate recipients of whatever report that is given. So this is a common practice in councils where sometimes all the records that are required to be entered in the CRPR are not entered therein. This may be a typical example wherein you have the date, the individual who received, but not the serial of the book. So usually we'll pick these things up because we want to have the evidence. Usually we would say this is a record that is issued, but it did not include, in this case, the serials. And usually in the end, sometimes they will come with evidence, sometimes they remain unprovided and then we report out those. But these are usual occurrences that happen. And I think the Director of Finance would be able to attest to that. Yeah. So those are the instances where such things could occur. So we pick from the CRBR, and the CRBR you are required to enter all the details, but sometimes some are entered and some are not entered. Yeah.
Just to buttress on, because for us, wherever we are writing, we are very careful, because the objective is to enhance the record keeping, the whole process of the councils. Just as the Director of Finance said before, some of these things doesn't have, doesn't know how the auditors were even able to, that should not even have happened, because you should make your record keeping easy and straightforward for the auditors to have an easy, review. And then that is going to save time, is going to save the reporting, and is going to make reporting clear, and then the work will be easy for all the stakeholders. That's the objective. And then for us, just as you rightly said, before we go to audit, we also have, our where we got all these records from. The CRB, that's what he said, each and every receipt book given to the cashier, that's where it should be recorded. If you give it to Honorable Bo, 37, this, it has the serial number, and you get it to Honorable Fofana without that serial number, that doesn't mean that we'll skip it. We'll say this date and then serial number not available. And then what we are trying to find out is like, it should have a serial number. If it is not there, we will report for you to learn from it, to know that each and every receipt book issued should have a serial number, should have a date, and should be signed to complete the recording process.
Supplementary question? Yes, Sofana?
Thank you, Chair. Just a clarity from the Director of Finance. You said some of the books were not numbered. Do you mean the leaves contained inside the book or the cover of the book itself?
Well, as from my understanding, the CRBR, all the serial numbers are in sequence. We don't skip serial numbers. And even if you skip serial number, you will be able to attach the serial number next to the one that is written. Even the date, you cannot have only full year 2020 instead of specific date that these lists were issued. If the dates were there specifically, we may be able to go and refer there and then make verifications. But here you just say 2020, no serial number, and some are duplicated. If you look at...
sorry, you are not answering my question.
Yes.
You made a statement, that's what I'm asking.
Yes.
In your statement, you said you don't know where the books were made. Some of them were not numbered. That's what I'm asking.
Yes.
What do you exactly mean by that? We have seen the audit, and they have exactly explained their position.
Yes.
So now, with regards to what you said, that's why I'm asking. What did you mean by that?
I mean, the query here, the books without serial number, it will be difficult to trace.
Do you have books without serial number?
We don't. All the books are printed from printing. But auditors indicated here no serial number. They indicated on their query there is no serial number from to. In the query they made for Majuba, they said just Majuba, but there is no serial number indicated here.
The director have explained that. In your registry, if you skip some information, and it is not inputted, that's where they will rely. If they didn't find any serial number during time you were issuing it, they wouldn't record it. And that's exactly what they are saying. You know? So I think that point is noted. The only clarity I wanted from you is when you said you don't know where the books were, some of them don't have serial numbers.
Yes.
Maybe I had that wrongly. So I think that is in order. We can ask them to forward the receipts to the auditors.
Yes. Yeah. Serial number. Yeah.
So do we recommend those books to be provided to the auditor?
No,
they need to verify.
We don't have them. They are unpresented. This is just to help them to trace them. So in the CRBR book, yes, if you have a heading for the serial number and then that one is left blank, the auditors cannot say this should be the serial number. What should have happened and what we found on the ground, this is what we report. Yeah, so they are not. We only give them for them to be able to trace them easily and then get back to it. And it's not all. It could be 100,000 books. It could be, but these are the ones that we haven't according to our sample. So we are not saying that there was not. We said some of these things, and this is just a sample of, the ones that are part of our sample, and then they were not provided.
The one that are listed. So actually, they exist. I think the accountant, the finance director.
Okay.
So, sorry, Chair, what do we finalize on that? Because this is a recurrent. Okay, the fear is if we leave it vague, we might overwhelm them or the director. Let's base it on the evidence here. Together. This is a recurrent event because in other councils,
the one that are listed?
yes, just the ones we are listed. Because in other councils also, this observation came up. There were missing receipt books. Since the director is saying they are here, they will have to work with the auditors for us to do verification. Okay?
I saw your hand up.
Yeah.
What I was trying to get at, maybe if we have an explanation about the process. For example, when receipt books are printed, you know, you made the request, they print with serials, they come to you, what do you actually do? Maybe if we have a clear explanation of that, how do you record those? Because for me, a receipt book without serial number would be, you know, I find it really very interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah. So maybe if you can explain to us the process.
This is not receipts. These are invoice books. Invoice books are requested through printing, national printing, and they print 150 to 100 books. We receive those 100 books and receive it into a CRBR, enter them into a CRBR. And each book have a serial number, 1 to 100 or 1 to XYZ. But when you are being issued a book, you will be entered the serial number, the date, the serial number, and the collector will sign receiving that invoice book. When you finish using that book, if you need another one, and then you replace the new book, you will bring the old one audited and submit to the finance manager, and the finance will review and sign receive and reissue a new one which the guys sign again. So it's continuous like that. Each one must have one book at a time. You are not issued 2 or 3 or 4 books at a time.
The next question is like, what actually have you seen? These invoices, are you actually saying that on the where they receive it, they don't indicate, and they just put the name, like the other one, Anne-Marie, and then there is no serial number, it's blank. Is that what you are saying?
Yeah, that is it. If you look at it, the main issue is in fact unpresented. This invoice that we've listed down have not been presented to the auditors. And then again, if you cannot just say on that invoice not presented, you have to be specific, because they need to go and then trace this thing. For them to be able to, you need to give them the serial number, and then we take this serial number from the CRBR. That is where you will record. If I am to give any invoice to a particular collector, that's where I will record it. So when we go to that book, if the serial numbers are not written, are not there, are not recorded, that's why orders, where they are written, we mentioned that one. But whereas in that book, a particular serial number is not, the auditors can't do anything but just to say the serial number is not available. What is available is that what we will give it. That's why we put the year and the name. So that's why we put a NA, not applicable, in the book where we extract this information from. So technically, it has a serial number. Recording should be completed, so that whether you are there or not, even if you are at the moment you get that book, you have to be informed by what is recorded in the book. But if anything is missing in that book, then we will just bring it out for you to know. The objective is for you to improve your operation and your recording. Okay.
Chair.
Thank you very much, Chair. Now, could the acting finance manager clarify here on how the collector's cash book works? What is the system in place? And before responding to the auditor's queries, did you went through the cash books, collector's cash book, to ascertain whether their query is genuine or not? Because what they are saying is that in some of the collector's cash book include the invoice serial numbers, and some did not. So did you went through the cash books to ascertain whether some of them does not have the serial numbers?
They are not from the cash book. These are purely invoice books. The books are not seen according to them. These are invoice books, which they say that they are not presented. But some were presented and audited and then also queried again. We have it in our box here. The books are so much. The invoice, even this GTR, they were so bulky and voluminous. So when we present them, when we submit it to them, they mix it. And then they were treating a GTR in middle of the GTR, where they cannot trace that book. They put it as a sample and they cannot trace it. And they end up querying it. But when the query comes, I tax my guys, they have traced all this receipt book. In a book, they only sample 3 or 4 receipts or 5 receipts. And those 5 receipts, you cannot see it in any copy of the book. They are inside a book. So you have to know in which book those receipt numbers falls so that you can trace them out. These are all because of the bulk of the documentations. All these invoice books were provided. This year, we have only 0 missing vouchers because they are very careful. They query a lengthy. We come back, we go with them and point one by one. When they saw it, they were surprised. Sometimes there are some misunderstandings because you have to know the way the people operate sometimes so that you can extract information by yourself. But if you want to go and extract information by yourself in our absence, you may query something that might not be relevant. But we understand.
Yeah, but you are talking of a different thing.
Yes.
You are talking of invoice.
Yes.
But the auditors here are talking of the collector's cash books. And they went further to give you the names of those collectors, meaning you don't have to go through all those cash books to ascertain whether this is what obtains. That's what we are asking you here. Whether you did that, like the auditor rightly said, they are just helping you to adjust, to improve on your services.
Invoices are not entered on cash book. Invoices are entered on CRPRs. Cash books, we enter receipts or receipted revenue. That's where the cash books are, where they are entered. But here they are saying invoice recorded in the collector's cash books. Even me, we don't have. I don't know what they are querying here as well. So these are the issues that we are facing. Collector's cash book.
I just want to make, because I'm definitely not going back to this particular query. I think our queries and these things are very clear. Even in the cash book, if it is a revenue, you have revenue cash book. Invoice are there to collect the amount that's supposed to be collected. If you collected your record in the cash book, when somebody comes with this particular invoice number, this is the amount collected and is recorded in this cash book, this date, so and so. That is what you will compare with the amount deposited. And so these are all, they are all interlinked. They are all linked. I might not blame other people who are not accountants, but the director of finance is an accountant. My expectation is an accountant. So some of these things, our these things is just to enhance. And then again, to say maybe when they are here, some of these things, they will be surprised, they don't understand. Before we go to any institution, most of the time we understand that institution more than the people working there. Because we don't just, we go by the books that you should use to guide your operations. We spend most of our time reading, try to understand the process and the procedures better. So in doing that, we don't invent new innovation, but we'll just say, according to your manual, according to this, according to the procedure, according to the best practice, according to the standard, this is how it should be. And then if we are doing it in order, we highlight that weakness for you to improve on. I think that is it. So say when they are working in isolation, you don't, and that should not have happened, because if we go, the entrance meeting is to identify the contact person, the person we will be working with. Each and every the auditors, the only person that will not be knocking on his or her door is the mayor, because not responsible for the day-to-day. But for all the technical business, we'll do working. Anything in this, they are part and parcel of it. This we are saying unprecedented. Maybe it was 100. Whatever you provide, the auditors will mark that one. These ones have been provided. The ones that are still pending is what will be reported. So I think these need to be clear. Let's just, try to help each other. Please.
Okay. Noted.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. To the Director of Finance, you said the invoices are not recorded in the receipt book. So what type of control do they play? And how do they reflect in your records? Because why am I asking this question? If you look at the implications,
Sorry, I forgot.
if you look at the implications listed,
But sorry. Okay, you can proceed.
okay, no, let her go on. Go ahead, go ahead.
No, I just appeal to her. Okay. I thought it was
That you know that.
okay. Thank you.
Why am I bringing this point? If you look at the auditor's observation, they are saying there is risk that license might be over or undercharged without notice. This is what they are saying. So now help us understand. What control does the invoices play in the system? Since you said they are not recorded in the cash book, what controls do they play?
What I mean, I don't say they are not recorded in the cash book. We have two different records. We have a cash books and an invoice register. All invoice issues are registered.
I'm not talking about the registration now. We are talking about the control. The auditor have made his point. Now, how are they reflected then? Since you agree they go to the cash book, how are they reflected in the cash book?
The invoice books. The invoice books are not reflected in the cash books. They are reflected in a invoice register.
I'm not
Because
talking
it's a
about,
manual.
sorry, I'm not talking about the books.
Yes.
The auditor is saying some of the collector's cash book includes the invoice serials. In your answer, you said you don't understand what they were saying. Do you understand? Invoice serials, now we are talking about the individual invoices, but you said you don't understand what they mean. Now, we want to enhance the system. Let's know how these invoices are reflected in your books so that we can talk about that.
The invoices are recorded in a register where they are issued to the collectors.
Okay.
The collector has a way book where he issued every invoice issued on that way book, collect a postcode of that address. That's how these invoices are tracked and controlled.
Okay, now, when they come,
Yes.
they will submit
Yes.
to the finance department.
Yes.
At the finance department, how do you make your inputs with regards to the invoices themselves?
Now, the invoice has to be tracked by the auditor because the finance team will receive the revenue collected, and the auditor and they do the reconciliation based on their invoice issued and amount collected. Weekly, we have a report on that. Now, the amount of invoice issued and the total amount collected from the individual invoice and the amount receipted. We do the reconciliation every week.
Sorry. Now, when making the record in your books, you do not make any reference to the receipt, to the invoice. You just take the value, record it in your books. That's where you stop. You don't make any reference.
It's a manual. It's a manual. We are going on digital. It's a manual.
Sorry.
Yes.
Director of Finance.
Yes.
I think I will stand with the auditor. You are an accountant.
Yes.
You are an accountant. You know very well that you cannot enter a value, even $1 in your book, without reference. To enter a monetary transaction, there are certain details which are what mandatory. The date must be there, the nature of the transaction must be there, and its monetary equivalence.
Of course.
These are the three.
Yes.
So now the question of saying what they are saying, you don't know, it's not there. Altogether. So what
I am saying two things, Honorable, here. That's why I'm saying they are confusing two things. Sorry, sorry.
Can you hold on? Can you hold on, Lamela? No. You don't talk over me.
The cash book.
Sorry, wait. Don't land over me.
Okay.
I'm talking.
Okay.
I'm not talking about the CRBR. In your response, you said when the auditors indicated that, some of the collectors' cash books include invoice serial numbers and some did not. You said you don't understand what the auditors were saying. They should have consulted you to understand your system. So this is not about the CRBR. This is about your own entries in KMC. That's why now we ask you, how do you do it so that we can enhance it? And what you told us is, the collectors will have their way book, they will record everything, they will bring the cash. Then you were asked, how is that recorded? You said, no, the auditors will check. That's why it is put to you. But look, when you make entries of accounting in your books, there are certain mandatory fields. There is no way that you can enter that value in your books without making reference to the invoice number. True or false? It's true. So it means the auditors, what they have observed is right. So, and I want to note one thing. There is one particular individual, Amadi Sow. This name have appeared on repeated basis for more than 10 times, no? Okay, allow me. If you say it's a duplication, let's look at the evidence. The first entry is coming as the third. The serial start from 12,351 to 12,400. The second entry, the references start from 14,866 to 14,877. The third one from 15,751 to 15,800. The fourth one from 2301 to 2400. And if you follow up to the 10th one, there is no duplication on it. These are different books.
If you look at 12351, you have it twice. 12351, you have it up there, you have it down here.
Okay. Another one. That's the only one.
Yeah.
So now it is 9 books instead of 10.
Yeah.
Tell us, why was it that there was a lapse on this particular one? That all the books given to this particular individual were not forwarded to the auditors? Most of the books.
I have a box here, which are part of these invoices that they have reduced from the list. The list was more than this. We take these books to them and they reduce the list by claiming something that they were already verified. Okay, that's what I'm saying. The books are mixed up.
Okay. Chair, I think we can conclude on that. Yeah. Let's tell the Director of Finance to resubmit those evidence back to the auditors for verification. Thank you.
So the next point that is on unpresented GTR. This can be found in page 92. The findings of the auditors reveal that GTRs to the tune of $186,650 were not presented for audit inspection. These GTRs were recorded in the revenue collector's cash books, but the physical GTRs were not provided for audit inspection. Details are in Annex C. And the auditors recommended that the management must ensure that these receipt books are presented to us for audit verification without delay. And the management responded.
The books are here with me.
Management responded.
The management responded. The books, sorry. GTR has been reviewed and again queried, and we have seen the auditor team on this, and we shown them the evidence of the inspected GTRs, which are part of the list, which indicate that all the GTRs were presented for inspection by the team. So the concerned books are here. They are with me. They are with me here in a box.
But the auditor further recommended, was it after the recommendation that we are able to act on?
After the
audit, an outstanding balance of 186,650.
It's the same books.
It's the same books.
Yeah.
Yes.
The reason, as I said, it was a range of sample within the book that they were querying, because they used the cash book, the cashier's cash book, and add few days of his collections and queried those GTRs. And those GTRs which are inside a full book, and the full book start from a different serial number. They couldn't trace it, but we could trace it. They are here.
You trace them.
Yeah.
So why didn't you provide it to them when you trace them? So
I provided to them. They couldn't.
They couldn't?
Yeah.
For the second time again?
For the second time, I went there and leave the books there with them. And they said, they will say, we found there one man, how to call it, Mariner. He said he will share with the team. We leave it with them. Until after the audit, I went back, I collect the books from them. When I see the query again, then I was even mad with my guys. They have to go through again and see that the same receipt books, that's where those serial numbers are.
Auditor, clarification?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think these reports go through various procedures up to the time that we finalize. Even if there are 50 books not presented, up to the last day, if you bring 20, we will still review it. And then but that doesn't mean that the query will go. If you bring 20, the figure will reduce from 50 to 30. if you look at, that's exactly what the auditors are saying. Contrary to the claim in the management response, only some of the GTR were presented, which have duly been reviewed and removed from the query. This still leaves the outstanding balance. For us, whatever you bring, we will verify that, and it is going to reduce the number. It will just going to reduce the number. So up to the time of finalizing, the pending one, that is what we will report. And this is exactly what other. If you said we have taken these things there, they said they will not, without evidence. I'm not here to hear. Whatever I'm saying is based on the evidence, and we will make sure that we report accordingly so that the stakeholders can understand what actually transpired during the audit.
The initial amount that was submitted for audit inspection is 186,650. Yeah, and then still, do you get me? Okay.
Is the pending one. This is the final one. Maybe it could be 200, it could be 3 million, it only got the initial listing. But by then we haven't. So because we work with them. So the moment, whatever they brought, we will confirm and then take that figure from it. So the one that is actually pending, that's what we will report.
What is trying to say, after your query, they made available then some books. So after that submission, you still could not trace anything, and then difficulties still remain.
Maybe the chairman, because this is from the field, is not submitted during the field work. We complete the field work, whilst working on the draft.
Well, the finance director, since we have these books for the auditor's query in the management letter, you said you've submitted these documents, these books to the auditors, but they could not find it, and you did it for the second time.
Yes.
But did you also try to work with them in order to show them the book exactly where they lie, so that it will not reflect in the management letter or in the auditor's query? Did you try that?
That was my intention. We went there. I didn't go alone. I go with the finance manager one. But we meet only one of them there. He said that he cannot make any decision. He will keep the documents there until the other team members are around. We showed him where everything they are talking about, and we left the books there with them. With the assumption that when the team members came, he will share with them and make amendment accordingly on the management letter. But our surprise is the same thing again. So we understand that they finalize, maybe without going through the documentation as expected.
He said he will work with he's supposed to work with the team.
Yeah.
And did you also try to make a follow-up if the team is available, so that you can also liaise with them in order to clear it from the query?
Exactly.
Did you do that follow-up?
No, we didn't do that follow-up because we expect them. As far as we showed to them, they didn't tell us any complaint. So we expect that they understand what we explained to them. So we leave them with the books. Anyway, CEO was asking me to follow up with them, to call them, to provide the report. But I told them they know what they're supposed to do. These are auditors. Allow them, they will go through the books and come up with the report.
Chairman, the audit report is evident. And let's look at it carefully, the auditor's further comment. It reads, contrary to the claim in the management response, only some of the GTRs were presented. So which means the auditors are not saying that KMC did not react to the initial list. A list was given to you and you provided GTRs. But it was not exhaustive. That's why the comment further went to say, which have been duly reviewed and removed from the query. Which means the initial value is more than 186,000. And finally, it said, this still leaves an outstanding balance of 186,650. So the auditors are not saying that you didn't provide evidence to them. They said you did. But after reviewing the evidence you provided to them in entirety, there is still an outstanding balance of 186,650. I think this is the substance here, Honorable Chair. The substance is not that the auditors are refuting that KMC did provide evidence to them, but that evidence was not sufficient enough to clear the value. So what KMC should be taxed is to work on this outstanding value. You know, rather than saying we gave it to them, the team was not there. You know, they have reviewed it.
Yeah, I think we just established that because
No,
as we refer to the auditor and the
no, but
sorry, I'm coming. His explanation is very clear, as we are indicating. So, as we are indicating, yes, there was submission, but after what was still clear, there is still an outstanding balance. So, if that is available, that can be provided to the auditor. I think
can I just land, Chair? What I am trying to say here is everything the finance director explained is contained in the auditor's further comments. Unless the extra details he is providing. And those details are not pleasant. We are all professionals here. We all swear to what preserve the integrity of the institutions we serve, be it KMC, be it the National Audit Office, be it National Assembly. But do not transfer your deficiencies to another department because you don't want to take responsibility. Their report is explicit, and we are duty-bound as a committee to protect that, unless and until we find flaws. And what the auditors are saying doesn't stand in difference with what the Director of Finance is saying. So I believe this is explicit, and we just need to recommend on it, and then we move on. Thank you.
The finance director clearly stated that they have those books, and that's what I'm saying. So that means they were not made available to the audit. The one that we have made available, the auditor cleared that one, and there are still outstanding balance of the amount. And this is what you're supposed to provide to the auditors for verification.
Okay. Chair, enhance my understanding. If the finance director have the books, what stopped him from presenting it when they were reacting to the initial audit query? What stopped them?
Now that's the question now. I think what the point is now, if what they provided is still what the auditor doesn't get what he wants, we can request him to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, in fact, yeah, that's what I was going to say, because he says he has the documents. So if he has the documents, for the sake of the committee, let him present it to the auditors and let the auditor comment. I know the auditor point of view doesn't change because of, again, this is past. But for the interest of the committee, let him just present it. He verifies that that's actually is indeed correct, and then he gives us the feedback, and we move on. That's
yeah. So the finance director take note and ensure that those documents are presented to the auditors for further verification. Yeah.
It seems the next page also is along the same lines also.
Yeah, okay, we'll take just note. We'll take note of. It's still on the GTRs. Page 93. We needed unpresented GTR of 141, 1,464, the GTR number with a date of 5th March 2020 by K.W. James, and the auditor recommended that the management should ensure that these receipt books are presented to us for audit verification without delay. The management responded. Management?
We have visited the National Office and presented the same PPR, which are also reviewed and queried to the audit team for him to reconsider the query. Same query. Same situation.
So Chair, it seems if it is the same situation, then they just do the same thing, like we agreed last one. Yeah?
Okay, that is for that one also. You have to act on presenting the outstanding books to the auditor for verification.
Okay.
Yes.
I think the reason why the auditors brought some of these things is to help them improve the system. Well, even if you look at this response, that's why you will see action to be taken, not provided, date when situation will not provided, meaning, you know, you are just responding for convenience sake. Let me just say it had been provided to the auditors, and then the way we operate is different from maybe the way they operate. Our records, our auditing, everything is evidence-based. And when we are reporting, we make sure that we are reporting this thing, not the KMC, but for a stakeholder who are going to use this thing for a decision-making to improve the operation of the councils. That is the way we report. And then in doing that, we are very careful. Even if they said these things, when we have the entrance meeting, all of us would give them our contact, our position. And then I would make it very clear. Even if my team gave you a response, or you submit a document, and they said this, or you have this agreement, escalate it to me. Because I am the one to sign the report. I'm the one responsible for the report. Even if I give you a response that you are not satisfied, escalate it to the Auditor General. I will facilitate for you to go to the Auditor. Because whatever I'm doing, I am also signing on behalf of the Auditor General. This is just to avoid this unnecessary, because we are used to this. When they get to the National Assembly, the easiest thing to say is we have submitted it to the auditors and they didn't verify it, or they haven't confirmed. You will be seeing series of this. But even if you look at the response, that's why action officer, when was the action taken, it will be left blank, because meaning there was no action taken.
Chairman.
Let's just try to improve the operation, learn from it, and then improve the efficiency in subsequent. I think that's the objective of the whole audit exercise. What I'm trying to say, because that will save time. You know, that will save time to these. Some of these things, you know, obviously it hasn't happened. It's easier to make life easier for all of us and to enhance the operation. Point noted, and then when the constraint you are having, you just admit it, and then we improve.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I think what he said is true, but for them also, all this information they are requesting, there is no evidence of document requested. Because initially what we know, if they need any documentation, the auditor requests the document, there must be a tabular form, information requested, auditor requesting it, to which officer they are requesting it, the date he received those documents, the day he returned those documents to the officers. They just come openly, verbal request information. You provide verbally. This is bringing so many confusion. You give me, I didn't give you. Because there is no evidence of requesting those documents, that these are officially requested from the administration. And we can improve on that because we suffered on it. Because for you, you are an auditor, you can say, I requested, I was not provided. You can do that. But for us, the auditee, we suffer. Because our documents are mixed up and live in the hall. We have to spend days tracking, extracting, arranging, reorienting, until it takes us 2 weeks before we arrange those documentation. But now we start from here henceforth. Before you come to the office, entrance meeting, yes, but any information requested must be documented from the auditor, and then we sign that I have received X documents from you. When you are going, you must return them as they were issued to you, so that there will be no issue of you haven't seen this document, I haven't seen that document. Sorry.
Auditor, yeah, maybe just for quick this thing. Yeah, I will be repeating myself. It's unfortunate, but again, the engagement letter specify all the documents that will be needed during the audit, and we will say not limited to. And this is not your first time of being auditor. You know all the relevant. And then again, audits, we have methodology and we have procedures which we followed. Any document requested, there is a document called evidence tracking sheet. Any information, that's part of our working paper. Any document requested, the date it was requested, will be mentioned, and then we use those ones to make follow-up. So we have document, even if that document is not shared with you. No, what I'm trying to say, our procedures, it's your responsibility to have your internal procedures in place so that you can provide evidence. For us, we have any document that we are requesting from auditors, there is a working paper specifically for that the audit team are going to use to record the date and the time. So we have those things. So whatever we are saying, even in concluding this report, we make sure that we make reference to those ones before we conclude any report.
I think the finance director take note. What he's trying to just put across is to understand so that the operations are enhanced. I think this is the bottom line of the director's position. Yes, Honorable.
Thank you, Chair. What I want to say is this. I will not talk about the documentation because the auditor have said something. And if you look at all the documents which are not presented, you will realize that KMC is not taking any commitment. They will not tell you when the action will be taken. They will not tell you who the responsible officer is. They will not tell you when the date to regularize it is. But what I want to say is, this committee have a role. And that role can only be exercised if people start taking responsibility. The auditors it benefits them nothing to bring out evidence that will be against you. And if at all you have regularized the situation, in your management response, it would have been stated. Because if you look at the management responses before that, you can cite the indifference. For example, if you go to 2.3, which is on page 89, you go to page 90, you look at the management response, everything has been filled. The action to be taken is noted, the officer responsible is stated, and the date for it to be regularized is stated as well. Why the indifference in this one? Just allow me. I listen when you are talking. What I'm saying here is, the role of the auditors, this committee will not be used as a launch pad to undermine it. You are an accountant, and you know that auditors should not follow you on paper trail. It is to your interest and the interest of the institution to prove beyond all reasonable doubt that all transactions were done accordingly. So you would not sit in front of this committee to use the committee as a launch pad to discredit the auditors when the evidence is saying otherwise. That is unfair. And Chair, I must register that. And we as a committee, we should not allow that. The auditors are credible, and the only way they can continue discharging their function is for that respect to be given to them.
Well, he has a different view, but that doesn't mean that he's trying to...
No. The statement said we had them.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Those are unfair statements which we should not condone.
He has a different view, but we are not taking his view.
Chair,
I'm
sorry.
Sorry.
Not allow him. I made a statement.
I think we should not be allowing to say that the opinion he has is a kind of disrespect. I think that's what I don't want to take. His views are different from that of the auditors. But what we are trying to establish is which one do we believe is a reliable one. I think that's what is important. So if we make comment, we will draw the conclusion. You wanted to comment. I think you are observing some points there. Concluding as to his view and that of the auditors, we will come to that.
Can I come?
Yeah, come.
Then in that case, we'll never hold anybody accountable. Because, wait, any report.
No, it's not an issue of try not to hold anybody accountable. He has an opinion different from that of the auditors. We'll make a ruling on that. But the word that I don't want to use here is to say that is disrespecting.
I didn't say that. No, I didn't say. No. Let me land. What I said. No, wait. What I said is. No, allow me. Also.
Sorry.
Chairman, allow me.
No, Chair. I don't know for now.
But you will allow me.
That was the point I picked. If I told you did not.
No.
Sorry, please. Yes. Sorry. Yes.
Now you. No. Go ahead. When you are ready, I will come. No.
Yes, I picked that word, disrespect. So that is what I'm not comfortable. If I tell you do not use that one, then you can continue.
Can I clarify?
Yeah.
I didn't say disrespect.
I think I did say that.
Okay, what I said is the statement used is unfair. It's on record. It's unfair. This is exactly what I said. And that is a credible statement.
Continue, that's noted. That's
Okay,
noted.
and to continue with it, why am I saying that point? The auditors have a role to play to enhance our oversight functions. And we as a committee, we are not here to evaluate what the auditor is saying against the auditee. If that is how you work, then every other public officer can come and say here that the auditor didn't ask me that, he didn't do this, then where will we stand? I rest my case. Thank you.
Good. What I'm trying to put across, when the auditor made a clarification and he responded, that's his views. We're supposed to make comment and draw a conclusion. But before we do that, then you come in. We've not done our conclusion. We don't mean that what he said, that's the truth. Now, we will not also stop him that he's not making his point. Having made his point, we'll be making our conclusion. Honorable Ambo, I saw your hand up.
Sorry.
I think we've passed that point. Honorable Fokan, let's go.
No, I'm done. Well,
Yes, please, allow others.
I want to enhance what you are
No,
saying.
we are not enhancing that.
No,
It's
no,
okay.
no, what, Chair?
No, it's not. It's okay. Yeah, Honorable.
Chair, I am a member as well.
Yes, you are a member, but the point is cleared.
It's not clear.
No, it's cleared at my side.
No, but this is a committee. Speaker, and
Honorable Fokan, the chair is speaking, please.
can we stand down? We
Yeah,
clear this.
the chair is
Stand down, we
speaking.
clear it.
Honorable Bo. Honorable Bo, can you continue?
Chair, I want to move a motion. That the
Honorable Bo,
committee
can you
stand down.
please move on? Can you move on?
Yes, thank you. I think we can close this and then move forward. I think generally, what the auditors write again is based on opinions, but their opinion is actually enhanced by proof that's given to them, and they form an opinion. Now, if the auditor also has a different opinion, I think now what we want to do, just like previously on the previous issue, they have it, because if you read what they responded, all cash books were presented for inspection. The stated cash book on the query are within the cash books presented. Maybe the team could not locate them, but the cash books are available for inspection. So now, to help the committee, let them go back and present to them, and because I know their opinion is not going to change anyway, but at the time of requesting this, maybe it's not present or they have not seen. It doesn't change anything. But for the sake of the committee and for the sake of the recommendation we want to make, let them present it to them and let them review it for the committee. And if they're satisfied with what is present before them, then let them inform us. And if they are not satisfied, let them also inform and we move on.
Yeah, I think that's the position. To go back and then make available to the auditors those outstanding books for verification. So we've made a rule on that. It was when the auditor came to do the clarification, what necessitated this, then he came with this. His view doesn't make our position change. That's what I'm trying to protest. Yes, Honorable.
Chair, I'm ready to move a motion that the committee stands down for 10 minutes. We have a stakeholder consultation. Thereafter, we move.
On what? Motion going, so you motion on?
The committee stands down for
On-
10
on-
minutes.
on-
For us,
on
let's make internal consultations. There are other parties here, that's why I'm not saying it.
internal consultation.
Yes, among us
Somebody is moving
stakeholders.
that we stand down for internal consultation. Seconded. Yes, it has been moved and seconded that we stand down for internal consultation. Those in favor, please say aye. And those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. Honorable KMC and subject matter specialist, the KMC and then the media house behind. I think media house is there. Yes, we've been asked to stand down for internal consultation.
adjourn. Huh? Let's adjourn.